G'day and welcome to Harry's Big Shed. If it's your first time here, hope you enjoy it and you hang around for a while, even watch some of the other episodes. If you're one of the regulars, thank you very much for your support. It really is appreciated to know there are people that actually enjoy watching what I'm doing, and I hope you're getting something out of it. Basically, I bumble my way through learning as I go. I'm not trying to be an expert in any way, shape or form, just sharing what I learn with you guys along the way. This time round, I'm going to start attacking the head gasket replacement on the TD42 because it's been giving us a bit of grief over the time we've actually had it running, and it's been getting a bit hot. So it's more of an insurance job in terms of I don't know whether the head gasket is actually blown, but it's certainly not going to hurt to put a new one in. Because I did the timing pump or the injector pump, there's already a lot of stuff off the truck, already got rid of the rocket cover gasket and the radiators out and all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to start by attacking the manifolds, get them off, and then slowly get to the point where we can actually pull the head itself off. This is one of those sorts of jobs that don't expect to get it done in a day, because unless you've got a brand new head assembled, sitting ready to go, you're going to have to send your existing head off to have it checked out to make sure it's still square, flat, possibly have it machined. So you're going to want to be doing this in a space where you can just leave the vehicle for a couple of days at least. So without any further ado, I'm going to get stuck into this, and hopefully I don't destroy anything. This is why you have to be so careful and systematic with what you're doing. You know, don't let phone calls, any of that stuff interrupt you. I thought the manifold was just jammed. There's 3 studs to present the manifold to get it in the right spot. I thought I'd undone all the bolts up to that one there, but obviously I took a phone call and missed one, and in trying to jimmy the inlet manifold off, I have just gone and broken it. So now I've got to find a replacement, which I don't know how much it's going to cost, and that's not the point. The bugger of it all is that I've broken it when I shouldn't have. So big lesson for this point in time, just don't let anything distract you until you can come back to the job and you're not going to do any damage. I was so convinced I had all the bolts out. So yeah, not happy. So something I discovered was I was thinking as I was undoing the exhaust manifold, I was hoping I'd just be able to pull it away from the engine and leave the turbo and exhaust and everything just hanging there. But there isn't enough room to do that with. So I've ended up having to disconnect everything from the turbo, dump pipes off, oil lines, coolant lines, the whole lot off the turbo. We're going to have to pull that up with the head. I've just got a couple of nuts holding the exhaust manifold in place, so that'll come up with the head. So now we've got to remove the injector lines and the rockers themselves so we can make sure we can get to all the head bolts. And once that's done, we should just be able to lift it out. Okay, so now we're ready to start attacking the head bolts. I've found a diagram online with the actual sequence of when you're tightening them up. So I'm actually going to go back the other way to do them. We're going to give the apprentice a breaker bar, and we're going to start just by cracking them off a little bit at a time. So it's a bit of a long drawn out process, but the kid will get there, I'm sure. If not, well, I'll have to step in as per usual. Okay, that was a bit of a mission, but we finally got it out. Before I send the head off to the machine shop, I'll pull the injectors and the glow plugs out. I'm going to leave all the valves for Grant to look at. The head gasket was fine, but again, this is more a matter of insurance, just making sure everything's right. It's not the sort of job you want to do. Just, you're not going to wake up one Sunday morning and go, I think I'll change a head gasket in my TD42 Patrol. So I've covered all that up with a towel so we don't get anything in there. We'll send this off, it'll probably take them a few days. And then as soon as we've got the head back, we'll start putting all this back together. Oh, and it's so bloody hot in here. Let me tell you, summer 2022 in Melbourne, Australia, you know what I mean. So I've cleaned up the head as much as I possibly can. I've gone over the inlet and outlet surfaces with emery paper. I've replaced the studs for the exhaust manifold. So basically now this is ready to go back into the vehicle. I'm going to give the deck surface a final going over before we put the gasket on and start torquing this thing down. So we're just going to let this sit here for a little bit and we'll get back into the truck. So next step in the process is to get the head bolts in. I took a little bit of time and I've actually numbered all the head bolts, just hoping that's gonna just help speed up the whole process because you've got to follow a particular procedure. Each of the bolts gets 3 passes. I'll put the link in, I won't put a link, I'll put it in the description, what those steps are. Before I put the head bolts in, it's recommended that you put a bit of oil on the seat of the bolt itself and on the threads to stop it from sticking. So let's do that. So you will have seen the first 2 runs I did with the torque wrench, the first at 44 and the second one at 59 foot-pound. And depending on what sort of engine you're working on, there'll be different ratings for them. The third pass, however, the instruction is to actually turn the bolts 90 degrees. How do we get 90 degrees, considering that leverage room isn't really that fantastic in the engine bay here? Basically, I marked all the bolts just using a paint marker, so that way I use that as soon as, like on the passenger side, that paint mark was brought around to face the front of the engine, then that was my 90 degrees. On the driver's side, when it came around to face the back of the engine, that was my 90 degrees there, following the same bolt sequence as I did on the other 2 passes. So from here on out, it's a case of slowly getting it all back together because I can't manage to do anything quickly, and then we'll be able to see if we can fire this up and get it running and, you know, keep on going with our truck and building it into something we'd really love it to be. You know, in the meantime, I really do appreciate everyone who's been watching the channel, has subscribed, especially the people who comment. You know, I love that interaction. Feel free, if you've got any questions, post them up. If you're interested in some of the other stuff I've done at the patrol, I'll put a link here, or does it go there? or wherever it goes. I'm not too good with this YouTube stuff. But yeah, next time we'll put this all back together and we will fire it up. Fingers crossed. Thanks for watching Harry's Big Shed.